Hey there, Red Hawk Nation. I'm WTV's Kyle Strickland, coming to you from my house on day 30 of the Frisco ISD COVID-19 e-learning system. Frisco ISD has announced the district's top candidates for Teacher of the Year, with one Red Hawk among the final 5 for Secondary Teacher. Tonight at 6, both elementary and secondary Teachers of the Year will be announced. WTV's Prachuth Pathak has the story.
Frisco ISD normally hosts its Teacher of the Year event in person, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the top 10 Teachers of the Year were announced via a Facebook live stream by Waldrop.
Typically, we would honor these teachers at an evening event. However, this year, I'm pleased to announce all 10 nominees on Facebook Live for our entire community to celebrate.
One of the nominees, Chris Ham, a biology teacher on campus, says he is able to do what he is thanks to his surroundings and support from colleagues.
If I didn't have an administrator that just has this environment and this mindset of just constantly getting better and growing, just allowing me to just take chances and try different things and just have this culture of clubs, because I feel like clubs help me a lot, really connect with the kids and just try different things, because I've sponsored so many clubs, during my time here, and our administrators have been so supportive of that. So I think the fact that our administrators supported me in that way helped me a lot in just taking chances and things like that. And then just the science department, my department head, if she wasn't there giving me feedback on my teaching, if she wasn't there to make sure all our orders and all the supplies are in on time, I wouldn't be able to do labs.
He also believes this represents the entire school and not just him.
Good. So I really think that us being named in the top 10 finalists, I think that represents us as school, as our Liberty High School, and not just me as an individual.
The 2020 Elementary and Secondary Teachers of the Year will be announced tonight at 6 p.m. on the district's Facebook page via a live stream. Reporting for WTV, this is Prachuth Pathak.
The art history class recently presented their historic timepiece project through the use of video. Here's a summary of their work.
Firstly, neoplasticism was one of the many avant-garde art movements that emerged in response to the horrors of the First World War. Its founder, Piet Mondrian, was deeply influenced by values of creating a perfect utopian society, as well as theosophy. Anyways, Piet Mondrian really wanted to find the universal truth behind art, and accordingly, he composed a strict guideline for compositional elements that dictated where shapes and forms would go. So in a nutshell, neoplasticism focused on essentially stripping down what Mondrian considered to be inessential to art, while using the most basic core elements of art to create harmony.
So mannerism was mostly prevalent in the 16th century, from about the 1520s to the end of the century, and it was brought about by an event called the English Reformation. So the English Reformation was a time in which the Church of England split from the Catholic Church. And this happened because a German monk by the name of Martin Luther started protesting some of the Catholic beliefs and rules that went along with the religion, and became known as the first Protestant. So his followers spread all across England, and so England made the decision to split from the Catholic Church and become a Protestant state. So one of the main identifiers of manneristic art is a form called the figurativa serpentinata, which is basically an S-curve, a serpent figure. It is where the body is contorted almost in an S shape or in a really uncomfortable pose to where it looks kind of unnatural, but it's meant to show the religious tension and suffering of the time. So the first picture that we're going to look at is a painting. It's called Entombment by Jacopo de Pontormo. And this one you can really see the manneristic style in it. If you look at the figure in the bottom center, how his knees are bent. If you want to try that right now, we actually in our class had to try getting into this position, and it's pretty much impossible to do and in a comfortable way. So you can tell that this is a really manneristic style just because of the contorted poses that almost every figure in this painting is in. Even Jesus has his torso extended in a natural length so that we're able to more fully see his suffering at that time. So we can see that just because of this religious uprising and the reform that was going on, that this was a scene that they chose to depict.
So for my AP Art History assignment, I chose to research the Fauvism period, which had started from 1905 to 1908. Henri Matisse was an artist that was considered the founding artist of Fauvism, and his paintings, along with other artists that use the same technique as him, were unique compared to others, and the term les fauves were coined for these artists that use his techniques, which means the wild beasts in French. And so Fauvism had involved a radical use of unnatural colors that separated color from its usual representational and realistic role. Giving emotional meaning to colors was a key idea of Fauvism. So the three most important artists was Henri Matisse, André Derain, and Maurice de Vlaminck. And these artists all had important paintings during the time of Fauvism. This painting is by Matisse, and it's called The Lux Calme et Volupte. This second painting here is called The River Seine at Chateau, and it's by Maurice de Vlaminck. And this third painting is by André Derain, and it's called Pineda a Cassis. So as you saw in all of the paintings, they all had used colors that weren't natural to the object, but rather had expressed their feelings towards that object.
So the key ideas about Impressionism that we need to know is that the Impressionists rebelled against the classical way of artful thinking, and they rebelled against classical traditions of like structure and form and realism. The Impressionists liked to focus a lot more on feeling and capturing light and color rather than the literal representation of a subject. Some of the historical context that led to this way of thinking were the new invention of photography, so there was no longer as much of a need in the art industry to paint things photorealistically because a camera could do that. There was a new scientific thought that emphasized how the eye worked and how light hit objects reflecting back color. There was also some Japonism going on, where there was trade in between Europe and Japan, so Europe was getting influenced by Japanese styles of art that were much more focused on landscape and nature, rather than the traditional classicism of European artwork at the time.
Humanism was basically from in a period of around thousands to 1650, more likely around 1400s. All the scientists and historians were more in studying about humans than any other things, and that also affected art, and that's where it came from. And one of the most famous artists from that period of time that used a lot of humanism is Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, he made a lot of amazing arts, and he was one of the biggest effects in how they brought the humanism in such a big and broad way. And now I'm going to talk about another Michelangelo's product, and this art is called David, and this is one of the greatest sculpture from Italian Renaissance and probably of all time. And some vocabulary words that we should all know is secularism, which is believed that religion was not the center of people's life, which is like the main point of humanism, because back then people thought God was everything, blah blah, but now people are more focusing on how humans' bodies were built and how they should take more care of that.
Hello everybody, welcome to my vlog. I will be doing a presentation on international Gothic art. So it began in the late 14th and ended in the mid 15th century, and this type of trend that we see in Gothic art is called a broad cultural trend. Some key ideas to keep in mind was that it developed in Burgundy, France, and northern Italy, and later it spread to Western Europe, hence the name International Gothic. It presents a naturalistic manner elongated and delicately modeled forms, the use of complex perspective, and an emphasis on the decorative or ornamental aspect of drapery, foliage, or setting. Established artists often worked for a number of different and often competing patrons, and figures were depicted in an elegant and graceful style, although compared with later Renaissance art, they possessed a certain artificiality.
Even at home, Wingspan is determined to keep the community up to date on all news and announcements. Follow us at Liberty Wingspan on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or visit our award-winning website, libertywingspan.com. That's it for this special edition of the WTV Daily Update. I'm Kyle Strickland. Thanks for watching.